What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about SubmitHub, SubmitHub.com, and what I really feel like the website is all about, like the true meaning of SubmitHub. My name is Kev Rowe. I'm a playlist curator here on SubmitHub. I've listened to over 15,000 songs now, reviewed them all, and I've shared 5,000 of those songs on my playlists. On Spotify, I have a very active playlist network of over almost 20,000 followers listening to your music every single day. So, yeah, let's get straight to it. I think many times people get on SubmitHub thinking quite reasonably and fairly that the end result for what they're trying to accomplish with this platform. Actually, let's talk about what SubmitHub is first. On a technical level, it's a website. And on one hand, you have playlist curators like myself, and they have other things too, like a bloggers, music industry bloggers, and TikTok influencers and Instagram influencers. So you've got people on one end who are in the music business in some kind of way. And for me, I just happen to be a playlist curator. So you can submit, and on the other hand, on this hand, you have independent musicians or anybody in the music business who has music and wants it to go somewhere on the internet. So there's a distribution factor to all this. You got your independent music community and your music industry professionals. That's a little lenient, I think. But anyway, and the idea is that these independent musicians submit their music to the curators in consideration to be on my playlists. You get that part. Now, me as the playlist curator, I listen to your song for at least 60 seconds. My average right now is 113 seconds, I believe. And it's required that I give you at least a 20-word review. And this review is important because it's why this website can exist, because it passes Spotify's standards and policies, rules and regulations. If they didn't have this review in here, then it would be considered payola. You know, that you can just pay money, which is a tiny amount on SubmitHub, like $1 or at the most $4. It would still be considered payola because you'd be paying to get on my playlist, and that's, I'm not sure if it's illegal. Yeah, I think it is illegal. But anyway, so Spotify will take down your music if payola exists or if you get streams from that. And they'll take down my stuff too. So nobody wants payola. So there's this review process. So you submit your material to me. I listen to it, give you this little review, and I either put you on my playlist or I don't. And I think what happens is when new artists get on the platform, they get on here thinking, oh, great, I'm going to increase my monthly listeners on Spotify. I'm going to increase my streams on my new single. I'm going to increase my followers of my artist channel. And they think about how all of these numerical metrics that they're going to gain from being on SubmitHub. And those things do exist, but they're not the real reason for why it's important. And I've kind of why a website like this is important. And I've kind of hinted at this in my other videos talking about the feedback that you get, and not just the review itself. I'm talking about the feedback in whether or not your song is getting placed on playlists or not. Like, that immediate feedback on your work is really important, and it comes in two ways. Rejection. Sorry. It's a big part of the music business, and you better get used to it now if you want to live here, because rejection is everywhere. But you grow thick skin, and you you can almost laugh it off the more years you've been in the music business. It's just rejection. It's no big deal. Not everybody was meant to like your music. But the more important thing in this feedback and the flip side of rejection is the word validation. That's really what the website is all about. SubmitHub.com is all about validation. We all just want someone to come down from the big record label office, tap us on the shoulder and say, "Good boy, Kev, you've made it. We're accepting you into the club, and you now have our nod of approval, the stamp, the golden seal into the club. You're in the music business now. We accept you." That's what it's all about. It's about validation. And it doesn't have to be that cut and dry or that cold of a thing. You just want to know that you're doing good work. Me as a singer-songwriter, I want to know that I'm doing quality work, that I can actually go out and make something of value. And every time a playlist curator puts my music on their playlist, I feel a little bit of that validation. Much more so than the validation I get from this ridiculous long review of my material that ends up in me being rejected. That's a different video, which I've made. But yes, it's all about validation. And really kind of the reason that I'm making this video, specific video about validation, is I wanted to point out the difference between the numbers metrics, like the streams, the monthly listeners, and all the social media growth that you can have from your music, and the actual relevance. That's my dog, Maggie, if you haven't figured that out. Maggie, stop. Yeah, relevance. This validation factor increases the feeling and emotion in you as an artist that you are relevant in the world and actually doing work that the world wants to hear and needs and desires. And that's a much more important concept than streams. Also, I want you to think of this word validation and be careful about where you get your validation. I've talked about this again in other videos where on social media there is so much false praise. And many times your followers are just going to say they like your music or give you good comments when your song might just be average or maybe not good, or maybe it's a great song and they just caught them on a bad day. It's a heated world out there, so don't take it so personally and don't get all your validation from social media or SubmitHub. Have a balanced approach to this validation concept, because the best validation I've ever had as an artist is playing in a room live in front of 50 people with my acoustic guitar, completely taking those 50 people on a ride, an emotional ride, on some kind of inspirational ride, or maybe a dreamy type experience. Somehow you take those 50 people completely out of their normal worries and pains and daily grind, and you give them, let's say, fantasy or just like some healing music to make them feel better. That's the best validation I've ever had as an artist. And I would encourage you, I use the word encourage as a music marketer, I hate that. I am going to ask you cordially to go do some live gigs. There's no better place to get immediate feedback in the forms of rejection and validation than doing live gigs. But I think because I've done so many over the years, like over 2,000 gigs, either as a solo artist or with my bands, is why I actually have grown this thick skin and understand the concepts of rejection and validation, and then can take those ideas and understand that's why SubmitHub.com is so important, because it's really about that validation concept. It's about how you feel as an artist and developing to new levels as an artist. It's not about streams. Spotify could change everything tomorrow, and the streaming numbers and monthly listeners could all go away, but you're still stuck there as an artist who needs to work on your craft and keep growing. So this is about growth, and feeling good and taking a stair-step approach to your whole entire career and just getting better over time. So be aware of this validation concept. It's really what matters. One thing that can make a difference is, if you get forwarded, if your song gets shared on a playlist with only, 100 followers, and they're getting less than 5 streams per song on that, that's still validation. Compared to if you're put on a playlist with 50,000 followers with a very, very low engagement rate where nobody knows where those followers came from, and you're only put on it for 3 days and then you fall off, that's validation, but it's not necessarily as high quality as the one with 100 followers to it. So don't think that all playlists are created equal. There's a lot of in-between out here, all the way from 100 followers to 1 million followers on Spotify editorial playlists. So I wouldn't put so much emphasis on how many followers or even how many streams on average a new song is getting in a certain playlist. I would try to see the bigger picture here and understand these validation and rejection concepts and grow from them. You want more playlists, obviously. The goal would be to get on hundreds of playlists or thousands of playlists over time. But when you're getting rejection, carefully consider that rejection if you feel like the advice is good. And then if the advice is bad or just kind of vanilla and makes no difference in your life, just discard it as poor quality rejection, if you will. But yeah, this validation and rejection thing I think is really important, so much more important than streams and monthly listeners and all the numbers metrics. So just try to consider that. SubmitHub is more about growth, artistic as an artist, than it is like a quick cash in to get streams and listeners. Anyway, subscribe to these videos if you haven't yet. See you in the next video. Bye.